Well, everyone, it's time for us to go ahead and take a look at the Samsung Galaxy Fold 4, basically, and the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 4, and see which specific phone is a better one for you. Now, these two phones are very interesting because they are foldable and flippable phones. If you want to pick either one of these phones up, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there. You can help support the channel at the same time. Now, both these phones are very, very different, but they both have the same mechanism. Externally, they are very different, but internally, there's actually a lot of similarity, which is very interesting. Now, on the outside, the Flip 4 does have a 6.7-inch foldable dynamic AMOLED display. Now with the Flip, it does fold this way. So keep that in mind. It flips like this. You have a cover display on the front too, which has a little bit of a thing too, and you can interchange it. A dual camera setup on this one as well, which is very interesting. And this phone is retailing for about $1,000 right now. There's probably a lot of deals that you can get associated with it, but unflipped is basically when you're going to be using it the most, and it's a pretty good panel, 120 Hz as well, hole punch display, and it looks very nice. With the Galaxy Z Fold 4, on the other hand, this is a much bigger phone. So on the front here, when it's unfolded, we have a 7.6-inch foldable dynamic AMOLED display. It's 120 Hz as well, which is really nice, and it's a pretty good panel. I mean, it's not bad at all. You do have creases, but I feel like the crease is about pronounced the same on both, but you also could probably be using the phone quite a bit in this flipped or folded phone mode as well. So this one, I feel like this display and this layout is much better overall. This display on the front is 6.2 inches. So it also has a 120 Hz display, and this panel itself is actually pretty good. It's not really that bad of a panel. Now, I don't see many people using it this often like this, but I could see a lot of people utilizing their phone more like this than they could be in the flipped mode on the Z Flip 4. So the Flip, on the other hand, is much cheaper. The Fold costs about $17.99 right now, which is a very expensive phone, but it is one of those things to keep in mind. In terms of thinness and thickness, you can kind of see what we're rocking with. I mean, the Flip is much thinner, but we are unfolded right now on the Flip where we're folded on the, fold. So if I go ahead and kind of unfold this thing, you can see a little bit more what we're rocking with, and you can see they're actually around the same. Actually, if anything, the fold is actually a little bit thinner, if you guys can tell. So very, very interesting stuff there. Now on the back, we do have a little bit of a different camera setup as well. Triple camera setup on the Fold, dual camera setup on the Flip. I feel like Samsung could easily put a quadruple camera setup on the Flip. I still don't know why they're only putting dual cameras on here, to be honest, but hopefully the next couple models bring better cameras. But definitely when it comes down to both these phones, a very, very interesting build. It's very hard to kind of compare a phone that's like a folding phone and like a flip phone, like with the Flip. But really, when you're coming down to it, it just comes down to which one is more comfortable. Personally, I feel like I would be way more comfortable with the Flip than the Fold, but it's still very interesting that we have this type of layout. Now, in terms of software and longevity and all that kind of stuff, these two phones are going to be probably lasting exactly the same amount of time. They have the exact same chipset inside of it, and because they came out the exact same time as well, and when you look at the other Flips and Folds that Samsung's made at the same time, they're going to be lasting around the same thing. So, if anything, I don't know if they're going to be getting the same exact day one updates, but theoretically speaking, they should be getting the same exact updates and pretty much all that. So should be very interesting between both, and I'll be curious to see what's going to be happening in the future as well. So in terms of that covers it up there. Now in terms of performance, as I mentioned before, both these phones have the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 chipset inside of it. The Flip 4 though has 8 GB of RAM, where the Fold has 12 GB of RAM within it. So I'm going to try my best to do a speed comparison, so let's go and see how it works out. Okay, hopefully this kind of works out a little bit. I'll go and position them this way, and we should be good to go. So let's get into it. All the apps are cleared out except for this one here and this one here. So let's get into it. Phone calls, 3, 2, 1. Okay, about the same thing. Let's go and do messages, 3, 2, 1. Okay, about the same thing too, and you can kind of get an idea how both phones are. Camera, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's go and take a photo. Okay, I think about the same thing as well. Let's go into the Galaxy Store, 3, 2, 1. The Z Flip 4 is like instantaneous. I don't know what's going on in that phone. Hopping out of here. Play Store, 3, 2, 1. And again, the Z Flip 4 is the faster one here. The Fold a little bit slower, which was very interesting. Scrolling through here, you can kind of get an idea as well of like how both these phones kind of hold up when you're actually scrolling through and everything. Hopping out of this one, as always, we have a bunch of these third-party applications we can test out. So let's get into it. Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. Now, this is not that heavy intensive of a game. Okay, so they both kind of got into it at the same time. I think the Fold was like slightly faster, but it was like very, very close still. And yeah, the fold was a little bit fast, but it was still, like I said, very, very close. Fruit Ninja, 3, 2, 1. The fold again was slightly faster here. Hopping out of this specific application, let's go and get into the next one. We can try Dropbox, 3, 2, 1. Okay, fold faster. Quizlet, 3, 2, 1. Okay, exactly the same thing. Temple Run, 3, 2, 1. And like I said, their chipsets are exactly the same thing. The only thing that's different is the RAM inside. Other than that, pretty much the exact same thing you're rocking with. And you can kind of see from the performance I've been getting from both, they've been almost the same. I think the Fold is a little bit faster. We can also try Genshin Impact, which is a massive game. Let's try this out. 3, 2, 1. But from everything that I'm testing so far, they are very, very similar. I don't really think there's that big of a difference between either one of these. And the Flip actually was a little bit faster there, which was very interesting, but it was very, very close between both. So honestly, when it comes down to it, I've played Genshin Impact and a couple other games on these phones too. Very similar gameplay, very similar style. So in terms of that, that covers up the speed comparison. Now hitting on the cameras, this is the very interesting thing, mostly because the Fold is definitely the better camera here. You're getting a triple camera setup on the Galaxy Fold, where you're getting a dual camera setup on the Galaxy Flip. Now, I truly do feel like Samsung could have done a better job here on both these phones, to be honest. On the Flip, we have the ability of doing 4K at 60 on the back. We can only do 4K at 30 on the front, which is very interesting. On the Samsung Galaxy Fold, on the other hand, we can actually do 4K at 60 on the back as well, but we can also do 4K at 60 on the front and 1080p at 60 on the front of another camera. So truly I do feel like Samsung could have done a little bit of a better job here. On the Galaxy Flip with its ultra-wide sensor, it's really nice to have those types of lenses, and I'm actually a humongous fan of when Samsung adds in their whole entire camera UI and all their features they have on their S series to their Flips and Folds as well. Even though this camera is missing a telephoto lens compared to the Fold, you are still getting tons of features built in. Your portrait mode, but you have this more option here which has tons of more options. So you can do your Pro mode, there's Pro Video, there's Night mode, there's tons of different things you have built in here, and you can pause the video to kind of get an idea. But this is a very good camera, and I'm still a humongous fan of this specific lens. Is it perfect? No, but I feel like Samsung's done a great job with this specific camera. I just feel like they can do a better job. Like, I want better from Samsung for these types of phones because they're so expensive. Even with the Fold, the S22 Ultra has a way better camera than this thing, and that phone doesn't cost as much as this phone, which is crazy. Now, this one, like I said, triple camera setup, so it is a little bit better than the Flip. You are also getting two front-facing cameras, technically one on this display and one on the other display. And when you're taking photos on this thing, it's very similar to the Flip when it's unfolded like this. So you have this whole entire layout, which is really nice. You can take photos, you can take videos. It's pretty much the same type of layout we have on the Flip, as you can see. But when you're unfolding this specific phone, this phone has a crazy amount of just camera elements to it. I mean, look how big this viewfinder is. It's insane. And you can utilize a ton of different things from this phone as well, from this camera. So ultimately, I will say the Fold has the better camera, and that's kind of how it's some of this whole entire phone. Like, I truly do feel like the Flip is a good phone, but the Fold is the one I feel like I would rather have, but it is just a somewhat uncomfortable phone. Like, if you're not comfortable using a phone of this caliber, then it's going to take a long time for you to get adjusted to it. It's a thick phone when it's folded. It's a thin phone, but it's a big phone when it's unfolded. So if you don't know what you're getting into, then it really doesn't make too much sense to get into this type of phone just yet. But over time, Samsung is going to improve their Fold and Flip phones so much that this phone is, when it's unfolded, this phone, when it's folded, is probably going to be thinner than a lot of phones we have now. I feel like with the Flip, this is a great entry point. It's $1,000. It's a lot of money, but it is still a good phone. You know, I just feel like with both these phones, I feel like I'd rather have a Galaxy S22 than have this specific device because of the camera and because of, the folding thing is a little interesting. With the Fold, I'd rather have the Galaxy S22 Ultra, to be honest. These things have better chipsets than those phones, but when it comes down to these two, if you have all the money, go for the Fold. If you want to save some money, go for the Flip. But I don't know if I would necessarily go for either one of these. I feel like I would rather go for the Galaxy S22 or the Galaxy S22 Ultra, to be honest. So that kind of covers it up. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.